So we're talking about the ArcticFlex. What is the ArcticFlex? We've got one sitting over here. It's the first one that we installed, and it's working very good in our shop and in the offices there. So it's not something that we're going to put in your house and not do for ourselves. So Bailey has a couple of good quotes in here, so we'll include those in as well, like what is the ArcticFlex, and then he gives a JFK quote. Every accomplishment starts with a decision to try. And so what is the ArcticFlex from Blue Ridge Heating and Air? Well, it's a heat pump. Specifically, it was designed to work in the Canadian markets, you know, with their very Arctic cold winters, and they can have some pretty warm summers up there as well. But it was a Move Air product line, which is specifically designed to perform in the climate up in Canada. It's built by a major HVAC manufacturer, and it's got some exceptional performance and a very good price point, making it a reliable and cost-effective option for heating and cooling your house. A fun fact that Bailey puts in for us today: the manufacturer oversees a diverse lineup of heating and air conditioning brands known for their reliability and performance. At Blue Ridge Heating and Air, we chose the ArcticFlex heat pump for its exceptional features and value, perfectly tailored to deliver comfort without breaking the bank. Pretty important. Why did we choose to adopt this heat pump? The technology, as new technology introduces itself, we want to be on the front lines. So the owners are constantly online. They're going to conferences. They're hearing from the manufacturers, and different things are introduced to us throughout the year, and we're looking into them, and they're very picky on what we choose to install in our customers' homes because our names are going on them. And so they really put ArcticFlex through the ringer, and after they did it, it passed, and it's one that we're very excited about. It's been tested in Canada for years, so we know that if it can heat those really cold houses up in Canada, it can do really well up here in the mountains of North Carolina. Yes, sir.
So is the manufacturer Canadian?
No, sir. The manufacturer, the question is, if it's the manufacturer Canadian? No, sir. The manufacturer is not Canadian. Do you know where they're manufactured?
It is, it's a Medea product. And
I was just wondering about parts, getting parts.
Parts are, they're super available. There's not haven't heard any news about not being able to get any parts for these things. Yep.
There are many components in these systems to prevent failures, and they run at their highest peak performance, even down to 22 below zero. So, any other questions so far? All right, we'll proceed. So why did Blue Ridge choose to adopt this heat pump? The compressor, it has an ability to shift into overdrive, allowing to almost double its capacity. It's able to reach room temperatures faster and operate efficiency at lower temperatures. Pretty much the way I like to tell people about it is a typical heat pump, no matter who manufactures it, operates efficiently till around, what, 35 to 40 degrees?
40 degrees is usually when that efficiency really starts to drop off.
And that's when your heat strips, like little metal springs, they get electricity shot to them. They get red hot and start making the heat. Get you some good warm heat to help augment what's going on with the heat pump.
40 degrees outside or 40 degrees in your house?
Outdoor temperature. Outdoor temperature.
And so that's why you have your auxiliary or backup heat. Well, the ArcticFlex still runs efficiently without heat strips down to 22 below zero, making it very efficient. Because as you well know, as the heat strips heat up, your auxiliary or emergency heat starts ramping up. So does that meter start spinning really fast. And unlike traditional heating and air conditioning systems that are either fully on or off, the ArcticFlex has the inverter compressor, and it adjusts its power based on demand. So like Mark taught me a long time ago, it's compare it to your car's heating and air conditioning. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, so that you can turn it down as you need. Well, with traditional, it's either on 5 or it's off. So it's a variable speed. It goes up and down as you need it, making it more efficient. And it minimizes equipment wear as well, because it's not got a hard start and a hard stop as much as it does with the traditional. And part 3, why did Blue Ridge choose to adopt this heat pump? The indoor air handler, the ArcticFlex air handler, has a powerful indoor fan that has the ability to push and move air up to 0.8 inches of water column, IWC. The conventional systems can only move it to 0.5. So you get a little more effort there in the system as far as blowing the air out. In short, this air handler has a competitive advantage over the other air handlers and can be installed in multi-position applications. So we can set it up in your basement vertically, or we can set it in your crawl space or your attic vertically.
So does it go outside?
Horizontally. The air handler does not go outside. The main outdoor unit does go outside.
Oh, what's the purpose of the outdoor unit? I don't understand how it works. Put it that way. The outdoor unit, I don't get how
the outdoor and indoor units work. Mark, do you want to take that one?
So yeah, absolutely. So the outdoor is a side discharge. If that helps, it blows the air out sideways opposed to straight up.
yeah, I know that. But
And then what happens is that there's a refrigerant that travels from inside to outside and back. It just makes a loop of what it does. So, and that refrigerant will heat up or cool down depending if you're in heat or AC. And that's what goes across the coils. So the outdoor unit is pulling in outdoor air. That refrigerant changes from a liquid to a gas and goes back into the air handler. If it goes in as a gas, it's coming back out as a vapor, and that is heating up those coils inside of the air handler, and then your blower wheel is what is pushing the cool or hot air. So it's like two separate units that have to work together to get hot or cool air.
So there's no air that goes from the outdoor unit to the indoor unit. I mean, is there? Look, so I have one. It just seems to be the blower is blowing outward.
That's correct.
And so, but is there? I don't see any vents from the outdoor unit into the indoor unit.
That's correct. So the outdoor unit is taking the air from outside and pulling it in through those coils. And then the air that comes out is the discharge. So if you're heating or cooling, that'll vary as well, right? So like you might walk by it and feel warm air one time. In the different season, you'll walk by it and feel cool air from it one time. So there's nothing that the outdoor is just hooked straight to the indoor. It's not pulling any air necessarily to dump into your house. That is what the ductwork would be doing for you. So.
Oh, and so all the. I'm lost. Thanks for explaining, but I don't get it. I don't understand how it's. Well, the outdoor unit. See, the indoor, is it just? I don't get it. I'm gonna be stupid.
No.
The outdoor unit just conditions the refrigerant that runs through the
Going through the wires
or through the copper pipes.
Yep.
And the actual air, all the air from your house that's getting heated and cooled, all comes from inside. It goes through the return, through the unit, and then back out through your vents.
Oh, that's what it is.
Right.
That's what the fan is for.
Right. Mm-hmm. And we just use the outdoor unit to take the heat out of the air in the summer, or put it back through and put the heat inside in the winter. Does that make sense?
No, but I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, fine. Just to look at it, it doesn't look like they're connected except for a wires and a little brass tube. I'm going, yeah, I'm from the Northeast where they have like a gas furnace and it's pretty clear how it all works together.
Right.
It's different.
It is. They're two separate beasts on that side. A heat pump and then just a furnace are two different types of equipment. So, yes, sir.
So my assumption is you can't just replace the outdoor unit, you replace both the outdoor unit and the handler for this.
You're talking about taking, so the question is if you have an existing system.
Can I just replace the outdoor unit, or do I have to replace both that and the air handler?
Okay, so yes, you do have to replace the outdoor and the indoor so they're compatible with each other. There's SEER ratings and heat ratings and AHIR numbers that correspond with each other to make sure that the matchup is proper.
So the heat strips are still in the indoor unit?
Yes, sir. Yep, you have heat strips that would be at the top of that indoor right there. They're sitting at the top, and then you have a blower wheel that rotates and pushes air through the house. And then below that, where you see those copper tubes and that drain, that is where the coil sits. And that's...
What's the unit underneath that says Blue Ridge? What's that?
That right there is it's a filter. So this is a whole home filter.
And I gotta see what the heck.
Okay.
So you have, this is a April Air product that we have. It's just slides in and slides out. This is, it's a MERV 11. You can get them MERV 13, MERV 16. So the higher the MERV number, the more it will collect and catch from going into your system.
So that comes standard, or is that an option to get the upgrade?
That is an option. It is. You can add that on when you purchase. You can add that on. You can add this on to any piece of equipment that you have. If you have like the room and the size and stuff, it'd be one of those things where you just have to have someone come out, look at it, and say, yes, we can slide this, because this box here is like one piece, and you have to tie it into this and also to your return.
But all of the heat pumps that we have a filter, right?
Well, correct. They should. Yes. They don't all look like this. You may have one in your wall or in your ceiling, and you got to pull the like little tabs. It pulls down, and then you have your filter that you change. They're usually a 1-inch filter that go in there in place. Those have MERV ratings as well. But like I said, the MERV rating, the higher the MERV rating, the more filtration it will do.
Well, my filter is about 5 inches deep. And I guess it's on the inside of the house underneath, is directly from the outside. Because I never change it. The tech always comes in and changes the filter, but it looks like that.
Okay. Yeah. So you have, and some of these are, they're also kind of more like in a box. It looks like a 1-inch filter, but it's a thicker filter. That's almost the same as this. We really like this filter because of the way the fins, when you close this door, you know that there's nothing, any gaps coming through here, it's filtering it as well. The ones that have the box doesn't allow that, but they do, they're very effective in what they do. So usually the thicker filter will allow you to have more time before you change them out. So you can get 6 months to a year out of these. The smaller ones, I would say 100% of the manufacturers say to change it out once a month. So those are the different options with the filters.
I was told that I have that filter, but then I also had some on the what's it called, the intake.
Right. So you probably have something like that, and then something in your house.
In the house, and the guy who installed the system, he said, you don't need them. I didn't need the ones that are in the house. That one is sufficient.
That's correct. So if you think of a HVAC system as a whole, right? You have these limits. Pete was talking about 8 inches of water column, right? So that's kind of like it's static pressure. And what that means is if you take a run and you push air through it, how much of that is going out and then kind of bouncing off and coming back in. So with a filter, the way you want to look at it is if I asked you to go run a mile as hard as you could run, and then when you come back, I say, here, put this mask on your face and run that mile, which way is going to be easier to breathe, with or without the mask? So it's going to be easier to breathe without the mask. So you do have to be careful with how much restriction is going into that system. So you can over filter, right? As that filter collects all the dust and everything in your house, it gets clogged up, right? And that will start to bring that static pressure. That's why it's important to change your filter regularly. But yeah, you can have, it's okay in some cases, like it's really a tech question to go, hey, can I leave these filters in my house and that filter? Because you want to make sure, yeah, you can. Leaving that filter in the house will help prevent it going through the ductwork, but you don't want it to be too restrictive.
That's what he said, it was too much, it was restricting the airflow.
Right, right. So you can step the MERV down to help with picking up the bigger particles that go into that system. But if you have too much restriction, it can hurt the system as well.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Let's talk about dual fuel number 2 here. Does anyone here have a gas furnace at their home? Oh, we're all heat pumps. Some folk, you do have gas furnace?
Well, I have a heat pump now, but the gas company just put gas into my neighborhood. So it's available now, so I'd be curious to hear.
So you can do what's called a dual fuel, or some folks call it a hybrid system. And the way that works is heat pump heats your house most of the day and most of the evening until you get below, say, 40 degrees. And then if you've got the gas furnace would kick in to give you the backup heat, say where right now your heat strips would do that.
So this unit would be able to accommodate both fuels?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But what I was told from another person is that I had to change out my furnace to gas. Got real complicated, real expensive.
Right. So you can add a gas furnace and put a ArcticFlex coil with it. So you've got heat pump, air conditioning, and then gas furnace for when you need backup heat. The thing with the ArcticFlex is you'll probably never need the backup heat because we don't really get around 22 below zero.
So when would the gas kick in if you had that?
So you can, with the control from the thermostat, you can go into that thermostat and pretty much set that number to whatever you want. And that's more of a preference. If you wanted to, we got to 6 degrees here last week, and the thermostat showed 6 degrees outside, and we were humming along at 72 degrees. So in that case, it's really up to the homeowner. Some people are cooler in nature and want that real hot heat. So we can set that at 40 or 45 for that gas furnace to come on. But then you can also set that as low as the program in that thermostat will let you to 30 degrees, 20 degrees.
So obviously I'd really rather the gas kick on than the heat strips kick in.
So if you have a gas furnace, you don't have the heat strips at that point. You either have the heat strips or the gas furnace. Yes, sir.
Okay. Moving on. So part 4. Why did Blue Reeds choose to adopt this heat pump? Price point. We found that the innovative features compared to its price was a no-brainer to adopt. The ArcticFlex boasts up to 18 SEER with a 10 HSPF2 Help me with that. What does that stand for?
So do you want the SEER? You have a SEER rating, and then you have your HSPF. SEER is Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio. That's what SEER stands for. What that means is that's the kind of the cooling side, your AC mode. And then you have your HSPF, which is Heating Seasonal Performance Factor. And that is a rating for your heat side of things. So if you think about the higher the number, the more efficient that system is. So SEER, it correlates with AC, and your HSPF correlates with your heat. The higher number, the more efficient.
And the ArcticFlex boasts up to an 18 SEER and a 10 HSPF, which fits right squarely in the middle of our price book. We've got an economy option that would be around 14, 15 SEER. And then we've got the 18 SEER, which would be your mid. And then we've got the premium, which would be around a 22 SEER as far as efficiency goes. And so this 18 SEER fits right there in the middle of the price book. The 22 SEER can be a couple of thousand more. So this 18 SEER will meet your needs and not break the checkbook. That's why we chose it. In conclusion, they're perfect for our climate and our energy. They're very energy efficient. Plus, we already have a customer raving about the comfort provided in the unit. We'll show you a video of that in just a few minutes. The warranty on this, we found that the features compared to the price is a no-brainer to adopt. It fits squarely in our price book. The replacement warranty goes, so you get 2 years of major component failure for the outdoor unit, 10 years parts, and 10-year compressor labor, or 10-year compressor warranty, and then 90 days labor warranty. And there are other warranties that we can add to that as you like that are optional, up to 10 years.
Is Duke or anybody offering any rebates to switch this unit?
Duke does offer rebates for going with the SEER, the higher SEER. Yes, sir. It's a better rebate if you replace your unit early as compared to if you replace it if there's a critical failure where you're having to do it. And we can get into that. There's also tax credits available for going with the higher SEER ratings.
I just filled out a form for Danny Kilpatrick. Is he here today? Danny Kilpatrick?
Danny is not here today. No, sir. He's down in our Greenville office.
I mailed him that form, and I mailed it here. So
Yeah,
I had to sign it.
right. Yeah, they would have got that to him so he can get everything filled out for you.
It'll come here and then bounce down there.
Right.
All right.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just a little confused. Are you saying that when you buy this, there are 3 different models that come in different efficiencies?
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. That's not what we're meaning. We're just comparing it to the other models that we have. We've got Armstrongs that can go as high as 22 SEER or American standards, or we've got the ArcticFlex that's right there in the middle of about 18, and then we've got some economy models that are around 14 to 15 SEER that are other brands.
So then choosing between them would be what you're facing with the climate where you're located. In other words, you'd want a bigger SEER if you had a colder climate, let's say.
Or
For here.
all of them will heat and cool you just fine, whether it's the 14, 15 SEER or the 22 SEER. The SEER is just like your miles per gallon. So the pickup truck that gets you 11 miles to the gallon will still get you across town, but the Prius that gets 40 miles will still get you there just more efficiently.
More efficient. Okay,
Right.
I got that now.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions? Did you have one in the back? Yes, sir.
Oh, the Duke rebate I was getting is $600.
Okay.
Just FYI.
Mm-hmm.
$600, you can go buy steaks or put it towards your unit. Duke gives it. They don't have any stipulations.
Yep. Oh, right. Yep.
And so there we are at the question and answer. Do we have any other questions? All right, we'll move right along. So let's talk about tax credits. Under the ArcticFlex umbrella, some of the units based on tonnage don't qualify for the tax credits through the federal government. They've always been pretty tough to meet, but January 1st, they had already raised the level. So every year to get the tax credit on a new system, it's going to get harder to get because they're raising the standards. You know, it was what, 15.2 last year, and now it's a little better than 17 to get there now. So on the ArcticFlex, the 1.5 ton, the 2 ton, and the 3 ton units are eligible for tax credits from the federal government, which usually equal up to about $2,000 in tax credits. The 2.5 ton, the 3.5, the 4, and the 5 ton, unfortunately, they don't have the efficiency to qualify. They're still efficient and still very good units. They just don't qualify for the tax credits. So one critical thinking that Bailey put in for us, will the tax credit be available during the new administration? So far, the new administration is discussing removing the electric vehicle tax credit, so they may end up eventually taking out the energy efficiency tax credit. Just something to think about. So we know this question is coming. Does it comply with the refrigerant changeover? We talked about that at our last class. So the EPA is mandating, it started on January 1st, that all the new manufactured heating and air conditioning units are to be manufactured to be used with R454B or Solstice. There's still plenty of units out with the R410A, and so we've got both. And we've got availability to get both. Right now, the warehouses are full of the ones still with the 410A. And the 410A refrigerant will be available. They're going to be manufacturing it through 2036. So anything with the 410A, it's not going to be obsolete. Just in 20 years, it'll be hard to get the refrigerant. But right now, we're good. Got anything to
Ask quick. So is there a difference? Because I know you guys did some work on my unit last year and you got a drain refrigerant and that was a major cost to recharge. Is this cheaper or more expensive than what they put in maybe before, the old stuff?
The question is the new refrigerant cheaper than the old stuff? So like Pete was saying, as we get closer to that 30, 36 mark, and then they stop manufacturing it, 410A is more than likely, just from the past experience, will probably creep up in price as it gets closer to 30, 36. Because they will move that 454B into effect. They did this for the R22. R22 systems, they don't manufacture the refrigerant anymore, so it's super, super expensive for a pound of refrigerant. 410A came into place, so the 410A was a price, and then as the years went on, R22 increased a lot. So kind of supply and demand, right? They stop making it. If the supply is high, the price is going to be high.
Final thought. At Blue Ridge Heating and Air, we prioritize introducing new equipment into our inventory, which will help our client with their comfort and saving money. As our valued customer, you deserve the best equipment and should avoid hassle-free service. Just call Blue Ridge Peace of Mind, and we have the peace of mind.
So how long has this manufacturer been in business?
Move Air has been in business. Do you know how long that's been?
That is a question.
That is a very good question.
Media is the people who manufacture it. They've been in business for like over 70 years.
Oh.
Yeah, Medea, yes. Yep, Medea's been forever.
Now, Bailey, how do we get to the video there?
Yes, sir.
We have 2 different thermostats, upstairs and downstairs. Where we have one that will have a whole house working.
So we are in the process. There has not been anything Some people say that you can run it, some say you can't. And I'm just being super transparent with you right now, right? So we are in the mix right now because I had talked to you earlier about the Move Air. We are trying to get a go-ahead yes. We're trying to figure out why you couldn't do it. But there's things in place that we are looking towards to answer that question with 100% yes, we can zone a system.
So right now you can't zone it.
There's too many unknowns yet. One person says yes, one person says no. So they have to like narrow that down, zero that down. And as soon as we know that, then we will absolutely let you guys know that you can or you can't.
Ask a question then, on kind of on that same topic, on the thermostat compatible. It talks about there's one in the box, but then it also says you can purchase a universal one. And so, does the one in the box do what it needs, or is it recommended to get a different one?
So the one that comes in the box, there's some downside to it as far as it's pretty much a plug and play. So you would take and plug into the thermostat, run that wire to the unit, and there's a plug for that, and it communicates, talks to the system. The problem with that is the cord is only 20 foot long. You can't cut this cord to splice it, nothing that you can do. So you're maxed out at 20 feet. And a lot of people are not in that range. Yes, these systems are very compatible with a lot of different thermostats. Now, what we've found is there is a T10. It's a Honeywell product, T10. That thermostat will allow the equipment to do everything that that piece of equipment can do. So you can take, and this goes for anything, any unit. If you have a thermostat that allows it to do all these controls, then you get the full benefit of that thermostat in your system. So we recommend the T10, but yes, you can put other thermostats with this piece of equipment.
And with the T10, can you like sync it to an app, or will it be like the most up-to-date?
Right. That is correct. So the question was, can you use the T10 and have an app on your phone to control the thermostat? The answer to that is yes. That thermostat does a whole array of things that you can do in there. It's actually really neat. After this, if you guys wanted to go, we have a T10 on the wall in there, and we can look at it. I think the functionality of it is super easy to use. And I think it looks neat with the way they use the coloring and stuff on it.
And one more question,
Yep.
sorry. On the advanced dehumidification mode, does this dehumidify as well, or do we get a different unit to do that?
So this system does have dehumidification capabilities. Pretty much it's in the programming of that thermostat, like we were talking about. You can set it up to where the equipment, what it does is it runs longer, so you can pull more moisture out of that house. So any HVAC system is not a dehumidifier within itself, right? But the system, the longer that system runs, the more moisture it can pull out of the house. Once that system stops, it's not pulling any more moisture. So yes, it does have the control to do so. Will it solve all your problems? I wouldn't say 100% yes. That would be an instance of let's run this system, and then if we need to add a whole home dehumidifier, that would be a separate conversation. But we could set that piece of equipment up to dehumidify the most it could do.
How about a
Thank you.
humidifier?
I'm sorry?
How about a humidifier? Can you add that to it?
That is, so, I mean, you can add a humidifier to the ductwork, absolutely, 100%. And that's that may be a whole other topic because they have so many different ranges of humidifiers that you can install into that piece of equipment. But absolutely, you can put a humidifier in there.
Getting back to the thermostat issue there, problem that I had in my house, I have 2 stories. I have 1 heat pump that you take care of. And I was having a little trouble upstairs where my bedroom is, in terms of the amount of heat or the amount of cooling. Of course, it's a further push, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the solution that you suggested was this smart Ecobee thermostat, which they put in a few weeks ago, along with these little sensors that go in the rooms upstairs to equalize the amount of heat and air conditioning. And they seem to work. Seems to have helped that problem. My question then is, with this system, do I start all over, or does it work with what you just put in?
So this system, you can keep your Ecobee and still run off of those sensors. In the T10, in that case, it also has a sensor, which I'm happy to show you as well. Sterling is in her office, and she's usually a little cooler than everybody else, so we put a sensor in her office, and I just go on there and change the thermostat to read the sensor. So it doesn't necessarily read where that thermostat's at, it is reading the sensor instead. Same thing with your Ecobee, right? So instead of reading where that thermostat is at, you can place those sensors and run the temperature off of those sensors. So the question, do you have to change everything? No, you do not have to change everything. You could install the ArcticFlex and continue to use the Ecobee and your sensors. Or if you'd like, you can use the T10 and it has a sensor as well.
Oh, okay.
Is that, sorry, go ahead.
Just one other thing. I don't know how old my heat pump is, to tell you the truth. I've been here at Conisty for 13 years now, and it was there, so that's what I have. Do they have like serial numbers that you can tell me how old it is and what the average lifespan of these things are?
Yes, sir. There is model and serial numbers on all the equipment. As long as it hasn't faded, then we can read that age of that system.
Would you have that on your records here?
If we had serviced the house or did the install, we can try to find out absolutely if.
No, you didn't install. I don't think you installed the heat
Okay.
pump way back.
Okay.
But you've been servicing it.
Right. I don't know. I mean, after this, I'm not sure who you are. I can look you up and see if I can look at the pictures and tell you what the age of that system is. Up in this area, in this region, heat pumps are, the lifespan of a heat pump is probably around 12 to 15 years. Now, we've seen them go beyond that, and a lot of that is due to maintenance. And some of that is due to people don't live here full time, so they're not using their system full time. So there is a balance, but I would say average, 12 to 15 years. At the 10-year mark, we found that you're starting to put major repairs, which is major money, into a HVAC system. So, but as far as like the lifespan of a system, you're probably looking 12 to 15 years.
To go back to the sensors, so if you had 2 sensors in different parts of the house, you could do one temperature that would sense both rooms, or could you do 2 different temperature zones?
So what the sensor does is it gives you an option to run off the thermostat, run off the sensor, or do an average, right? So if you had multiple sensors through the house, you could take an average of all those sensors, and then that's where you draw your temperature from.
Okay. And then on the remote control piece, it would be one or the other. It would either go to the sensor or the thermostat or the remote control.
Whatever you designate that to do. So with the control, you have to be, it's not like you can be upstairs and click it while your unit's downstairs. It will not read that. You pretty much have to be onto the system to make that control work. Yep.
Like, I happened to take a picture of the panel that shows the date of the, if you're looking for the date of a system, it's right on the unit. Right on the side.
The date is.
Yeah, the date is like, manufacture date.
Thanks.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And this is on the outside thing?
Outside of the outdoor unit, or, yep.
Do you have to take anything apart to see this?
No, it's right on the outside.
Oh, okay, never noticed. Oh, thank you.
Some units do offer that, where they have an actual date on there, but not all units do. Sometimes you have to decode that within the model serial number to get it. So, like I said, I have no problem. I'll look it up and see if I can find a picture in there for you and let you know what the age is. Absolutely.
Have you installed any of these yet in home?
What, the ArcticFlex? Yes. This was the first one we installed, and then we've got 3 more up here that we've installed, and then how many?
There's about 3 down in South Carolina.
3 down there, and still have
We
sold
got,
some.
we got
that
more to
haven't
go. We got some more to install.
been-
And I've got a testimonial from somebody here.
Yep, that we did.
So we're fixing to play that for you if you want.
We've adopted this, what, a month and a half ago? And we've already installed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this is, I mean, I'll tell you, if I was going to pick a system, ArcticFlex would go in my house immediately. You have a heat pump that delivers furnace heat, if that makes sense. The reason why we installed this is because I wanted to put it to the test. I wanted to make sure that what this is saying is what we're claiming, right? And I'm telling you, when it was 6 degrees outside, it was 72 degrees in that office, and it felt hot. I'm super impressed by it, super blown away by it. I would absolutely 110% have one of those in my house. I don't own my house, I rent. So, but there would definitely be one in my house for sure, 100%.
Had it installed like 2 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'm just here to learn. Whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Glad to have you.
Can I ask one quick?
Yeah.
So if I was installing, say I'm at a 2.5 ton unit, so if I replace my price point, if I installed an ArcticFlex versus maybe a Carrier or something, what's similar pricing?
I don't know what the pricing would be on a Carrier. That, is dealer to dealer. I think what you would really want to look at is the SEER rating.
So if it's typical, if it's the same SEER rating, is the price similar? Just curious.
I imagine that it's probably going to be pretty close for a SEER rating in that. But you also want to look at the functionality of that. One of the biggest benefits to this ArcticFlex is you'll never probably ever use your heat strips. Even with a 22 SEER system, when it gets to that threshold of 40 degrees, that heat pump drops out significantly and your heat strips come on, which is pretty much the easiest way to explain that is probably a toaster. When you push down your toaster and you see the lights light up, that's it's a toaster on steroids, if you would. But that draws a lot of amperage. So if you have a 10 kW heat strip in your system, you're pulling 48 amps while that thing is running. So that meter is just going to sit there and wind up. This is going to go down to 4 degrees, and it's not even going to think about using the heat strip. So it's phenomenal. Any other questions before we watch this? Okay.
ArcticFlex testimonial.
David, I thank you for letting us to come over here and talk to you about the new system you just got. I know it's been in less than a month, but I'd like to know what your thoughts on it are. Do you like it? Are you pleased with it? Or what's your input from this?
I think the best way to describe it is I compare it to the system that it replaced. I had a 2-stage unit in here before that would either run at 50% or 100%, depending on the demand at the time.
Right.
And there was quite a bit of noise with the unit, both from the compressor side outside, which was near the living quarters, and then also from the air handler, from the air coming through the vents. There was a lot of velocity going on, particularly when it ran at 100%.
Right.
And it did a lot of that in the wintertime, because here it gets down into the 40s and 30s to make it go to 100%. And I didn't know what to expect. I had heard, thanks to your seminar that you had at Blue Ridge, I had heard that there was going to be a refrigerant change, and I needed to consider making a change before then. And so when I came and you showed the new ArcticFlex system that you had installed in your shop, and we talked about it a bit, it piqued my interest. Well, subsequent to that, I came back, and within a couple of weeks, the 2-stage unit went on the blink. I lost heat completely. And so I was on the phone to get more help, more than anything, and I got good advice, and we went ahead and ordered the ArcticFlex system. I was particularly interested in getting one while I could still get the 410A system, because I could get it cheaper than I could after the first of the year. And it sounded like you all were going to be able to install it pretty quickly. But after it was in, and it's been 2 weeks, 2 days that the unit's been in, I'm very impressed with the unit. And comparing it to the other heat pump system, this one is head and shoulders above any heat pump system that I've ever had.
So you notice a big difference in the heat coming out.
There's definitely a difference. It is a warmer air. It heats more evenly. And another plus is that it does it at a lower velocity. The unit, because it has what we would call modulated compressor, but it also, the speed of the air handler must be affected by that too, because it's not blowing as much air out the vents as it used to, and it runs for a shorter period of time to satisfy the temperature.
Right.
So it's got a lot of plus factors that put this head and shoulders above the standard heat pump systems.
We were also able to hook this up without doing any duct modification. Is that correct?
That's what I understand. There's probably some things we're going to be talking about in the future, maybe about some dampers, things like that. But I'm pleasantly surprised at the evenness that we're getting now without touching any of that.
Right.
And so it's perfectly livable now, perfectly comfortable. I'm able to run at a higher temperature in the house than I normally would with the older heat pump system, because it ran for so long to satisfy the temp before. I would run it around 68, 69 degrees. I've got this one in the 70s now, and it does not run long to satisfy, and it makes it a lot more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. So everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy.
So do you have any, to go on the other side of it, the other side of the coin, do you have any negatives about it?
The negatives I have about it are so small. It's just me getting used to it a little better, because of the where we live is so quiet. I guess I'm more sensitive to noise, and so I'm able to hear a unit that runs differently, but not so much that it is aggravating at all. The outside unit makes such a lower fan type noise. I hear no compressor noise at all from it. But I pick up the fan noise only because the condenser is near the living quarters, and it is a lower, like the wind is blowing a little bit.
Right.
And it now 80% of the time, we can barely hear the air coming out the vents.
Excellent.
Now, when it really gets cold and the compressor runs at a higher speed, it does increase the velocity in the vents, but never to the stage that it did when the normal heat pump ran at 100%.
Excellent. Good. I don't have any more questions. I think we talked a lot about different things even prior to getting the video on. I thank you for your time. Thank you, allow us to come over here and do this to promote this product. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
Where does this person live? Where does this person
They are in Conisty. Yes. They are, man, I know exactly where his house is. I can see it. What are those condos up there at the top?
Oh, Tacoma.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay. So that unit looks, is it extra large? Because I don't think what I was looking at there, where he was standing, would fit. I mean, everything I have, either outside or it's in the crawl space. That looks all pretty big.
So the size of the unit, they're pretty similar to what we'd be pulling out, to be honest with you. But our process as a company for Blue Ridge is we would send a sales consultant out, or if a tech is there and you ask for an estimate on this equipment, what they would do, they're going to take measurements. They're going to take all that stuff into account. They're going to look at all that stuff, and we may have to adjust some things. We may have to, maybe add on to connect to the supply. It may be shorter than the unit that's there before. And if it's longer, then we may have to cut something or move something in order to fit it in its place. You guys have any other questions?
Are these available? I mean, how long do you have to wait?
We are, I've never had, I normally have, I'll put the order in, and then within 2 days, it'll be here, right? It's, there's no shortage on these guys.
They installed mine, and they came in about 10 o'clock in the morning. They were gone by 3. They locked it up like 3 or 4 at night.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
Yep.
I mean, I think the only biggest question I'd be like this gentleman, because I do have Zen, I live by the story and a half, which are typically always warmer upstairs, so that would probably be a big question for me.
Sure.
That could be adapted.
Sure. Absolutely. We are working on that. And I want to make sure, I don't want to tell anything that I don't know, but absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.